Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to look way past what the naked eye can see and explore the completely fascinating chemistry of the water we interact with every single day. We often think that if something looks clean, it must be clean, right? Well, chemistry tells a very different story. Today, we're exploring the invisible world of total dissolved solids. I want you to picture a perfectly clear glass of water, fresh, straight from the tap. It looks totally empty, doesn't it? Just pure, unadulterated H2O. But what if I told you that clear definitely doesn't mean empty? Hooking right into that assumption is exactly where our journey begins today, because that crystal clear glass is actually teeming with an invisible, microscopic universe of minerals, salts, and metals. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll be covering 1. The invisible water world, 2. The conductivity shortcut, 3. Field meters versus lab ovens, 4. The temperature complication, 5. What TDS meters miss, and finally, 6. Why TDS truly matters. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the invisible water worlds. Now, when you see muddy, cloudy water after a really heavy rain, you're looking at turbidity and total suspended solids, or TSS. These are physical, visible particles just floating around in the water. But total dissolved solids, or TDS, are an entirely different beast. We're talking about inorganic salts, things like calcium, magnesium, and chlorides, plus organic matter that have completely dissolved. They're incredibly tiny, smaller than 2 microns. They'll pass right through standard laboratory filters. They are, for all intents and purposes, completely invisible to us. Just to give you a sense of scale on exactly how much invisible solid matter water can hold, consider the Dead Sea. It boasts a completely staggering TDS of 276,000 milligrams per liter. Now, compare that to normal drinking water, which the EPA recommends keeping under 500 milligrams per liter, and you can really see just how extreme this invisible world can get. Moving right along to Section 2, the conductivity shortcut. This brings us to a really brilliant scientific workaround: electrical conductivity, or EC. You see, when salts dissolve in water, they break apart into positively and negatively charged ions. And because they carry that charge, they can actually conduct an electrical current. So instead of trying to physically grab and weigh these invisible microscopic solids, which would be a nightmare, we just measure how well the water conducts electricity. Basically, field TDS meters are acting way more like electricians than chemists. The meter you dip into a stream or a beaker isn't actually weighing a single thing. It just has 2 electrodes, passes a voltage between them, and measures the electrical current. The more ions bouncing around in the water, the higher the current. So it's essentially an electrical measurement masquerading as a mass measurement. Pretty clever, right? But how do we actually get from electrical current to physical weight? Well, math. The meter takes that electrical reading in microsiemens and multiplies it by a conversion factor, often represented as K, to estimate the TDS in parts per million. For a simple sodium chloride standard, the factor is 0.50. For a general natural water estimate, it's typically right around 0.65. And the best part is, the meter handles all this math instantly behind the scenes. Next up, Section 3, field meters versus lab ovens. With a standard digital TDS meter, you literally just dip it in, wait a few seconds, and boom, you have a rapid estimated field reading. It is absolutely fantastic for on-the-spot environmental monitoring, checking out your reverse osmosis filter, or managing an industrial boiler. But you've got to remember, it is just an estimate based on conductivity. Now contrast that quick dip with the true gold standard, EPA method 160.1, the gravimetric lab method. Let me tell you, this is painstaking. First, you have to filter the sample to remove any suspended solids. Then, carefully evaporate a known volume of the water. Bake the remaining residue in an oven at exactly 180 degrees Celsius to dry off any trapped moisture. And finally, you weigh the actual physical remaining solids on a highly sensitive analytical balance. It is incredibly time-consuming, but it yields the exact true mass. Which brings us to Section 4, the temperature complication. This complication is perfectly captured in a complete cinematic experimental video presented by Dr. Kem on the measurement of total dissolved solids. In the video, we see a single sample of spring water being heated on an electric hob. At 26.2 degrees Celsius, the meter reads 478 parts per million. But as we watch that exact same water heat up to 59.3 degrees, the meter reading suddenly jumps up to 531 parts per million. The actual mass of the solids didn't change one bit, but their reading falsely inflated by over 10%. So why on earth did that happen? Well, physics. Heating the water actually decreases its viscosity. It physically allows those charged ions to zip around a lot faster. This higher ion mobility makes the water artificially more conductive. The TDS meter felt that increased electrical current and mistakenly assumed there were more solids in the water. This is exactly why any high-quality field meter absolutely must feature automatic temperature compensation, or ATC, to mathematically adjust all readings back to a standard baseline of 25 degrees Celsius. All right, on to section 5, what TDS meters miss. Because these field meters only detect mobile charged ions, they are completely blind to neutral, uncharged compounds. I mean, you could literally dissolve a massive 1-pound bag of pure sugar into your glass of water, and your TDS meter wouldn't even flinch. It would just read 0, because sugar doesn't carry an electrical charge. The exact same goes for alcohol, unionized silica, and carbon dioxide. Oh, and those macroscopic rust particles making your water look cloudy, they are way too big to move in the electric field, so they get ignored too. Even bacteria and viruses fly completely under the radar. Finally, section 6, why TDS truly matters. The actual stakes here are massive. In the industrial world, high TDS water in a heating boiler is an absolute nightmare. As the water evaporates, those invisible solids concentrate, precipitate out, and form this hard scale on the pipes, totally destroying efficiency and causing some seriously dangerous equipment damage. In our homes, TDS dictates the actual taste of our drinking water. If it pushes past about 1,000 parts per million, it becomes distinctly unpalatable. And environmentally speaking, tracking TDS is a primary way we enforce regulatory compliance to ensure industrial runoff isn't out there destroying our local aquatic ecosystems. So, we started with a clear glass of water today, and hopefully you'll never look at it quite the same way again. Because that glass, it isn't empty. It's holding a dissolved microscopic history of the rocks it flowed over, the earth it seeped through, and the treatments it underwent. So the next time you take a sip, ask yourself, what invisible history is dissolved in your glass? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep your curiosity flowing.